Hey, everybody, welcome live to the Jim Masters Show Live. This is your host, Jim Masters, coming to you from the Jim Masters Broadcast Studios here. Yes, we just got back from a fantastic vacation up in Portland, Maine and Newport, Rhode Island. And now we are here because we are celebrating something quite special. There's a fabulous new play that's happening in New York City right now, starring John Rubinstein. Of course, you know John from so many epic performances, Tony Award-winning actor extraordinaire. And he's taking on the role as President Dwight D. Eisenhower in this extraordinary new play by renowned playwright Richard Hellesen. And producing artistic director Peter Ellenstein is with us as well. And also producer Adam Weinstock is joining us. They're all on location. Adam is in New York driving his car, and Richard is back home in Sacramento, California. And we're excited to have him here as well. And of course, Peter is joining us and from North Hollywood in just a second. If you're not familiar with this extraordinary new play that everybody's raving about and they are selling out day after day, let me show you some of the incredible reviews that have been coming in. DC Theater Arts says a thoroughly convincing, passionate, and captivating embodiment of Eisenhower. John Rubinstein is the theater's presidizing man. New York Post and Entertainment Today says an historic masterpiece from playwright Richard Hellesen. There is, of course, the dates as well. It's on now. It kicked off in June, runs until July 30th. So get yourself into the city. Theater at St. Clement's, which is a wonderful place to have incredible shows and performances. There is some great exclusive behind-the-scenes photos we've got here that have been sent to us for this episode of the Jim Masters Show Live series. That is iconic actor extraordinaire John Rubinstein as President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Now, this is about a very specific time in President Eisenhower's life and a very specific day. And I don't want to give too much away because I would love the gentleman to really talk about, the premise, and they won't give it all away either because we want you to go and see it. But it really is an extraordinary performance. And everybody's just talking about John and how this has been so incredibly not only captivating, but also the way he's captured the essence of President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Matter of fact, the Los Angeles Times says a perfectly cast job in John Rubinstein brings out our 34th president and brings it back to life in a drama filled with timely political lessons from a leader who strove to put country over party. One of our most beloved presidents. And of course, as time goes on, people take different looks at public figures in society. And how many people remember I Like Ike? I love this too. This was sent to us. What a fantastic piece of artistry here as well. Really, really fantastic. Just want to let you know, as far as the photos, because we do want to give credit where credit is due. The photos that you see here are from and taken by Maria Baranova, wonderful photographer. So we thank Maria as well and the team, the PR team, for sending those photos. But again, this is something that you don't want to miss because the reviews from critics as well as the viewing public have been extraordinary. So again, we have the playwright, we have the producing artistic director and producer with us here exclusively to talk about this exciting play that's happening in New York City. So good to have you with us, everybody. We are here and so excited. I just want to let you know as well, for those who are watching live, iconic comedian Paula Poundstone is going to be joining us today as well. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. So we have some really, really busy action for you here on the Jim Masters Show Live series. If you want to comment during the show, you can comment right now by subscribing to the YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. We would love if you do that. You subscribe to the YouTube channel and you can comment in our lovely hall chat room. The Lovely Hall chat room is designed for everybody that's watching who wants to comment, say hello to one another, say hello to us and to our guests as well. So subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. And don't forget to give this episode a thumbs up and a like, and leave a comment for us as well if you enjoy this episode and we're about to present to you here. So without further ado, let's welcome our very special guests to the show. We, of course, have the playwright Richard Hellesen joining us from Sacramento, California.
Hey, Jim.
Good to see you, and welcome, Richard. It's an honor and a pleasure. Producing artistic director Peter Ellenstein is here. Peter, welcome to the show as well from North Hollywood.
Thank you. It's very nice to be here.
And we thank you for being here as well. I know it's a busy time for all of you. And producer Adam Weinstock is with us as well. He's going to do a reveal. We're going to pull back the black curtain and Adam will just suddenly appear. Adam is actually driving. He's actually heading to the theater as we speak in the city for the show. So we'll have him pop on. He's one of the producers. And you may remember Adam was a guest on the Jim Masters Show series, and we talked about his epic career as well. So we'll have Adam join us as well. And Peter will drink to that. Welcome, gentlemen. I believe it or not, I still have a bowl of soup. It's been such a busy day. We just got in from Newport, Rhode Island, and I was on the air on radio all day today. And I got this nice, thick, creamy broccoli and cheddar soup and haven't had a chance to eat any of it yet. It's been one of those busy days of creating. I think we've got Adam back. Adam, you there? Hey, Adam, and we've got the green shirt special surprise guest there as well.
I was asking my good friend Peter, who's with me in the car, to see if it says I'm in the waiting room, but I see I'm on, which is great.
I'm
on my way to the show. You know, I'm one of the producers in New York. I want to shout out to my other lead producers, Dennis Troncio and Victoria Morris. I'm the one that happens to be here, and we have a wonderful showing on tonight with the talk back afterwards. So I'm going to represent for us. That's why I'm on my way to Manhattan.
That is fantastic. How did all of you come together, Adam, Richard, and Peter? How did this linkage happen?
Well, back in
tell them say it, but they allowed me in. They allowed
you in.
Well, back in 1989, Richard made the mistake of writing a children's musical. That wasn't the mistake. The mistake was that he and the other people cast me in one of the roles. So that was 34 years ago. And
I was 5.
You were 5, of course.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Absolutely.
And later on, after I performed in that musical for a long time, I then directed a version of it. And after that, now Richard and I have worked together many, many times on a lot of different plays. And when I was in Kansas running the William Inge Theater Festival and the William Inge Center for the Arts, we were always looking for material that were related to Kansas. And I'd stumbled across a snippet of an Eisenhower speech. And knowing very little about him, I was surprised that this war hero in general said something that it seemed to me so anti-war. And it intrigued me. And so I found the actual speech that it came from, and I read that, and then I read some more of his speeches, and I went, wow, this is a really crazy. I didn't know anything about this guy, because I was born the year he went out of office. And it intrigued me, and I started looking to see if there were any plays about him. I was like, oh, well, we're in Kansas. We should do a play about Eisenhower. I bet there's something out there. There was nothing. And I thought, well, what an opportunity. And so I called the best playwright I know, Richard Hellesen.
And then he called me after that. So it was way down the list.
No, Richard has written a number of historical dramas because he's an associate artist at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C., and they've commissioned him to write a number of historical pieces, and I know he's a huge history and political buff. So I called him and said, would you have any interest in working on this? And I'll turn it over to Richard.
And I said no. Because I couldn't conceive how it could possibly be very interesting. And long story made slightly shorter, we found a way to do it all these years later. And to sort of answer your question, when we were in the process of really putting it together back in fall of 21, and John Rubinstein had come on board. We did a reading at St. Clement's, invited reading. Adam came to the reading and apparently liked what he saw. And we've been working ever since on it. So now it's, a year and a half later.
You found a brilliant way of presenting it. You found a brilliant way to have one person on the stage for that long, where he's just wonderful, Rich.
Thank you.
That's always the challenge. If a one-person show is, why is the person talking to the audience? And Richard solved that.
And this really is, I think, one of the first times that John Rubinstein, the star, Tony-winning John Rubinstein, is doing a one-person play situation, right?
Yeah, exactly. And in fact, that's one thing that I think Peter knows more about this than I do. That he was sort of looking for something to do, possibly in the way of a solo show, but he hadn't landed on anything. And if I remember, Peter, you just reached out to him out of the blue, right, with the script?
Yeah. He had. We worked together a little tiny bit when I was in Kansas, and knew each other from Los Angeles because he lives here also. And I just thought, well, we need a good actor so we can hear it and see whether we have a play there. Because up until that time, Richard and I were writing, and then I'd send him notes, and he'd write, and I'd send him notes, and we didn't know what we had, and we just needed to hear it. So John did us the favor of coming in and reading it one afternoon, and was brilliant immediately. And we realized we had a play.
And you're right, Jim. It is the first time he's done a solo show, and although it's funny, he's a great storyteller for starters, but we were having conversations early on about what it's like for an actor to do a solo show. Writing it is a whole other, kettle of fish. But he remarked the fact that when he did Children of a Lesser God, which is what he won his Tony for, in the lead of that, he had to learn both roles, because there was his character's role, and there was also the woman who was signing across from him, and he would repeat a lot of her dialogue. So in effect, every night he was doing two roles. But he said the thing is, at least there was somebody else on stage,
right,
that I could work with and play off of, and who would be there with you. And this one, he says, I'm out there, it's just me, and it is a much greater challenge.
That's incredible. Now let's talk about the actual play itself. It really takes place in a very important time frame in President Dwight D. Eisenhower's life, right? A particular day that's covered throughout the play. Tell us about that.
And this goes back to what Peter was saying about what's the reason someone talks in a solo show. And parenthetically, I think I read every solo show there is to read. Okay. I mean, I read Give 'Em Hell Harry, and I read The Belle of Amherst about Emily Dickinson, and I read True about Truman Capote, and I read, to see how they did it. What's the structural thing? And what I realized is that you not only need to have a reason for them to talk, but exactly as you say, there's a point in time you have to choose that will justify that. And Peter can probably talk more about this, our developmental process. But it's a huge career. Eisenhower has an enormous life. He has an enormous career. He has, a war hero career and a presidential career and so on. What's the point that you pick that will allow you to reflect on all of those things? And the one we landed on was after he's out of office, a year and a half out of office. And he reads, this is a true thing, I stumbled on this, was one of the first presidential ranking articles that came out in the press. The New York Times had an article ranking American presidents, one to the bottom. And he ended up remarkably low. And he's a little pissed about that. Okay. So it allows him the chance on that day when he's just read the New York Times piece and he's venting a little bit, to then begin to go back and say, well, what if? I mean, I think they're wrong, but what if they're right? And let's go back and revisit some things in my life that will help me to make sense of why they've ranked me so badly. And then what does that say about me? What does that say about them? What does it say about presidential leadership and all these sorts of things? So it was actually a great stroke of luck to find that New York Times piece that came out in 1962 and work off of that.
Well, and you'd also read in one of the books or the letters that his son had said how angry he had been when he saw the piece. So
and hurt. And he was hurt.
Yeah.
That's amazing,
and
really.
Susan Eisenhower, his granddaughter, came to the opening night, and she mentioned that she had been there during that whole time, and she remembered him being very upset about it. I think she was 18 years old at the time or something. Yeah.
We are very, very blessed to have some clips here of John in action on stage that we positively want to share, because I think they'll give people an essence of how he really, in an extraordinary way, has been able to capture the essence of President Eisenhower. And I think I saw in another interview on one of the networks that he said that he was able to do it easily because sort of the mannerisms, the articulation, the speech pattern of President Eisenhower he's very familiar with in people in his life that have spoken in a similar way. So it became something that came rather naturally for him to take that on.
Yeah, I believe he said he told us that it was one of his father-in-laws, I think. Wasn't that it, Richard?
I don't remember.
He thought when he started listening to Ike, he said, "Oh, I've been imitating him for years. I know I can capture that feel." And so, he wasn't trying to imitate Ike. He was trying to give a feel of it. And that was one of the things we decided early on. This was not going to be an impersonation. We weren't going to do great moments with Mr. Eisenhower. That it was going to be an actor.
My first title.
Capturing his essence. Yeah. So, and I think that was what John was going for, was capturing sort of the internal sense of the man and bringing that through, as opposed to trying to imitate every type of gesture in it and inflection.
I want to have Adam on just because I know he is headed to the theater. Adam, I would imagine you as well, being so involved in this incredible play, the response from critics and from the public has been extraordinary and continues to be, and there's nice selling out and all. That must really make you feel pretty good, Adam, huh?
You've stunned him. You've stunned him into
silence. He's really deeply thinking about that answer, or he's stuck at the toll booth maybe and doesn't have his easy pass.
Yes.
We have a promo first that we do want to show. Adam, can you hear us? Okay, I thought I heard something. We'll have him come back. We have a promo.
I can hear you.
Adam?
Off and on. So
okay, off and on. So you are something, I tell you. You are a producer. We're going to show the promo so people can get a sense of this incredible play, and then we'll come back and we'll chat about this. And we've got some other wonderful quick clips that have been sent our way of John on stage. Here is the promo first for this incredible play, folks, and we'll be back. So take a look at this.
But the fact is, I was asked to run for president in 1948 by President Harry Truman himself, because there was another general who was plenty ready to go after that office with all his might. And he'd been working on his image for years, pipe and sunglasses and all. Oh, I knew Douglas MacArthur very well. I was his chief of staff in the Philippines before the war. I learned a lot from General MacArthur, and I had the greatest regard for his military achievements. But that was nothing compared to the regard he had for him. He wasn't just ambitious, he was dead certain that the rules of war and government didn't apply to him.
That was fantastic. That was the MacArthur segment. Tell us about that, gentlemen.
Wow. First off, we have to give some credit to the very, very original presenters of the show back in Los Angeles when we were working all the bugs out, Theater LA, and the new LA rep, which Peter's, who is muted, is artistic director of, and that's a clip that was done on that set. Things have actually upgraded considerably for New York, I think, which you will see when you see the show. Right?
By the way, it was Theater West that
was Theater West. That's right.
Yes, the New Los Angeles Repertory Company, which I'm producing, or artistic director, produced the show in cooperation with Theater West, and then we also then moved the show to the Hudson Theater later in the run when Theater West had another show coming in.
It was the bugs working out phase, which was so necessary. That's a really nice example, I think, of a couple of things. One is just how we deal with history. And I think sometimes you say it's a history play, people go, oh, do I really want to do that? And so the degree to which we've tried to personalize it and make it somewhat relevant to issues now. There's an election year coming up, people running for office and why they're running for office. That's what that segment is about. Why does someone want to run for president? And in Eisenhower's case, he didn't, but he felt compelled to serve. Humor. I think the great thing about working with John is we've always tried to find as much humor as possible. We don't want it to be dry. I think there are a lot of laughs, which are very gratifying in the play. And then the third thing really is John's attention to detail. We can talk about, the actor all afternoon if you like, and I would love to. He's such a remarkable person to work with. I mean, it's been the most extraordinary experience as a writer to bring a script into an actor who has such depth of experience and inventiveness and intelligence and specificity in how he chooses to say what he says, move how he moves, gesture how he gestures. He's never stopped working. I mean, I don't think I've seen the same performance twice, and this is now, over a year and something, because he's always working. He's always working to improve at what he does. I just sort of stand back in awe. But I think it's what that one little segment, it kind of brings all those things together, at least for me.
The other thing that it does bring together is also Richard's ability to get, which is a very difficult job for writers, which is to pack an enormous amount of information into a short segment and yet still make it entertaining, fun to watch or listen to, and condense, what are years worth of experiences into one incident that can give a sense of a relationship. Because Eisenhower worked with MacArthur for a number of years and was his, as he says, his chief of staff in the Philippines. And there were many, many stories that were in the different books that you read about their relationship and all that. And Richard was able to find a way of putting it in where you got a sense of their relationship and also his thoughts about MacArthur. So
that's incredible. It's not always easy to capture, but you guys certainly have in such a brilliant way. And people are already, a lot of the viewers are commenting, saying bravo and spot on, and can't wait to get to the theater to see the show. So we appreciate all of the viewers watching all over. We have an international audience too. So do you see this? It's in New York. Do you hope that it goes and continues once past July? You see life in it beyond?
We hope it has a very nice long life. We're investigating all possibilities for where it might go. A natural would also be, eventually playing in Washington, D.C. and also in England, where Eisenhower was, I think he was at the time, he was the only foreigner who had ever been granted citizenship of London?
The city of London, yeah.
The city of London after World War II.
They gave him a castle. Did you know that? They actually, at the end of the war, they gave him a castle in Scotland. Yeah. And he would go there and golf, and paint. So,
yeah. Not too shabby. Got a couple more clips here we wanted to show. This particular one, again, we appreciate these being sent our way, giving people an idea of this incredible play. Never Wanted the Presidency. Tell us about that one. It's about a 60-second or so clip.
Do you want to show it, or do you want to talk about it first?
Yeah, you want to? Yeah, let's show it, and then exactly. I like that. I think Gleason said that to Carson once. you want to just roll it, and then we'll we'll have an aperitif after, and then we'll chat about it. Yeah, let's take a look at that. There's a reason for this title, folks. Never wanted the presidency. Here it is, and then the gentleman and I will be back.
Now, I said I never wanted the presidency, and I meant never. Remember one time when I was a boy, I was fishing with a friend of mine on Mud Creek in Abilene. We were talking about what we wanted to be when we grew up. I said, I want to be a real Major League Baseball player, like Honus Wagner. He makes $5,000 a year just for doing what's fun. What about you? He said, I want to be President of the United States. Neither of us got our wish.
So there is something special about that. Tell us about that one.
First of all, I do like the idea that there was a time when a major league ball player made $5,000 a year.
Yeah.
But it's true. It was actually it's a story that from his autobiography that I found, that he never had those ambitions. And one of the reasons he says that is because in this article, the historians who are voting on ranking the presidents give great credence to ambitious men, that people who really went after the presidency and fought for it and really desired the job. And he really, truly, he never wanted it. He simply took on that responsibility when he felt it was his responsibility, when he felt it was time and he could do something. And so, the idea that we can all grow up to be president, which is a wonderful idea, not everybody wants that. And certain people probably shouldn't do that. And so I think it's part of his humanity. It's part of maybe his humility. As we get into other parts of the play, he also never set out to have a military career. He only went to West Point because a friend told him, if you go to a military academy, you get a free college education and you can play football. Okay, well, okay, I can save my dad some money, not knowing he's going to become, the 5-star general. That there's a groundedness in him that I think that we can relate to, that most of us can relate to, who don't have those ambitions of greatness and presidents or whatever, that we live our lives and we do the best we can with what we're given. And if it leads someplace great, good, then we devote ourselves to that. But that tying greatness to ambition and seizing of power was not something that interested him.
Boy, have times changed.
Yeah.
On all levels. It's it harkens back to this earlier time where that was, in his case, what he was all about. In the annals of history, where do you place President Eisenhower? I mean, you guys obviously have learned so much additionally, probably in doing the research about the president. Where do you place him?
Well, I put him in a category. Really, there's only one other president that I think, in a certain way, came into office with the same amount of sort of universal respect, and that was George Washington.
Yeah.
Who had also been a war hero, who was seen as, saving the country and was the father of our country. And Eisenhower was really, I can't think, since Eisenhower, there has not been another international hero of the same stature, who was throughout the world universally respected and liked. So he had a really unique position coming in. And he took that responsibility very seriously, that he realized it wasn't just about him, that he represented the American people, he represented the world, and he recognized that America was just one part of the world, a great part of the world, and a leading force in the world. But he realized that it was really, there was a responsibility in being the leading country in the world. and that it wasn't just about looking out for ourselves; it was looking out for a better future for the world. And I think that that's where I would put him. And the humility, not a false humility, but a true humility that he was just one person.
Exactly.
And that he didn't have all the answers,
Right.
but that he felt like he could draw on the best minds possible, and he didn't need to get credit for everything.
Adam, while you're driving on your way to the actual theater itself, what are some things you learned about President Eisenhower along the way too, being deeply involved in this production?
And Adam is muted.
Oh, he's muted. Yes. There we go.
In driving. I didn't know much about Eisenhower in the beginning, and I learned new things every time I see the show. I didn't know that he was going to run as a Democrat for the first time, and he was asked by FDR to run, and he didn't. There's so much, and I enjoyed learning about his family too, his brothers, his mother, his Mamie, his wife. There's so much. You get this nice picture of the man in the first act, and then in the second act you get boom, he just takes off, and you feel like your friend and you've gotten to know him. He deals with issues of World War II, and it's phenomenal. I marvel at it, and I'm so glad that I got to be part of putting it on the stage, because not only is it educational, the way Richard's written it, it's so entertaining too. You feel like you're being taught a lesson, or it's a lovely piece. And like I said, I was glad that they let me come forward. As soon as I saw the reading, I was like, you have something here. So I'm really happy. Learn something every day. Can't learn more tonight.
Absolutely right.
And Peter is muted.
I'm muting myself because I have dogs in the background who want to participate, and I told them no, they have to wait for their show.
Especially if they're union, it will cost us a fortune.
But Adam is one of the things I think is most exciting about this show, and that happened at both of the readings that thrilled Richard and I, is the conversations that it spurs, both about Eisenhower and his times, but especially about our own times, and that the audience walks out talking to each other about what happened and about politics then, politics now, the world then, the world now. And it asks for some real self-examination about the way we look at those people we disagree with as well. And because Eisenhower was very much about being in the middle and bringing people together, and not about forcing his opinion down everybody's throat. Regardless, he really wanted to help the country be the best country it could be without vilifying people, at least most people.
Which again is something quite special, and I think something. Would you recommend that kids see this as well? Is this something where kids would learn from it from a historical perspective, even though it's one element of the president's life, a particular day, special moments? Is this something where the younger set could learn from this?
I'd like to jump in while you have me before
please.
my more learned colleagues take the ball with this. I think if we're allowed to teach history in the future, that this play would be a brilliant teaching tool moving forward. I'd love to see it move forward in other forms of media and become part of a social studies curriculum. And you just learn so effortlessly about politics and the man. I think young people, if they've had a unit on American politics, which I guess they must have, let's hope, would enjoy it. And we are seeing audiences very mixed, and I think so. But like I said, let me turn it over to my colleagues.
I've had some terrific conversations after the show with some teenagers, for whom all this is new for starters. But I think it actually comes back to a point that you've all been making, that certainly Peter just made, and that is that it really is about us now. in the guise of being a play about history and a historical figure, it really is about now. It's my sneaky way of addressing questions that are pertinent in our time, about politicians, about leadership, about America. And if you are 15, 16, 14, 10, I have a friend who has a daughter who says, well, she's 9 going on 16. Would she like it? But she's very involved. She's very interested. And I'm like, yeah, actually, she might. Well, some parts, may go over your head, but then you'll be inspired to go ask the question. But I think getting back to the point Peter was making, I think that's always been in our minds with this play, is that it isn't just a history play for the sake of being history. The audience brings in the other half. And that's, I think, why Peter's saying we have discussions afterwards, because audiences come in and what they're hearing is a historical figure talking about things, but their minds are bringing in now. They're bringing in the issues we're all facing now. And they're sort of bouncing off of each other. And to me, that's the most gratifying thing, is to hear the little sigh or the laughter of recognition when they get what I'm talking about that resonates for now, not just 1962. That's really terrific.
I would say that it's certainly for high school and up is great. And I think any young person who is starting to look outside of themselves and look at the world and start to figure out their place in it, and can they make a difference? Do they have a responsibility? What value can they bring? I think then, and certainly any interest in politics or history, then I think it's really valuable. I think for those kids who are not yet to that place where they're kind of looking outside of themselves at the world, that it might not interest them. But certainly, yeah, I think once they're in high school and taking any civics class or social studies or history of the United States, they'll learn an enormous amount without having to try, and hopefully enjoying it. And it's definitely, a lot of young people have talked to me afterwards, have run out to get a book about Eisenhower or been really turned on about it. There was, as Richard mentioned earlier, there was so much we could have put in this play, and Ike had a couple of quotes that I loved that I wished, we tried to find places for in there. One of which was that he felt like that for America to really succeed, politics had to be the part-time profession of every American. That we all had to have an interest, because the country belonged to all of us, and without all of us having an interest, people could run away with it in different directions. And I thought that was a really interesting idea.
It really is. We've got another clip here. This one is I Believe We Can. We'll take a look at that, and then we'll come back and chat about it. Here it is.
I love this country. It's given me a very good life, for which I am grateful beyond measure. And I want the same for them. Now, I have great faith in them, I do. But I imagine they're just as worried about the future as we are. Maybe more. Because it's easy to lose faith in our institutions, our convictions, our essential soundness as a nation. Someday, it seems that democracy is going to have a hell of a time persevering. But this piece of ground that we all share, if we're going to leave something better to our young people, then we just can't be complacent. It's going to have to be the nation we're serving, not just ourselves. We have to keep choosing the harder right instead of the easier wrong. Never be content with half-truth when the whole truth can be ours. Now, maybe it's just the optimist in me, but I believe we can.
It's really important words. Yeah, you can feel the power of it and the way he's delivering it as well. This is quite a deep project for John himself to take on and to commit to. Has he expressed, because I know he's got the show tonight, but has he expressed what this experience has been like for him thus far, the preparation, the performance, and just really being a part of the celebration of such an iconic figure as President Dwight D. Eisenhower?
Wow. If you want to take that, director?
Sure. Well, I think that he.
We'll do round robin.
I think that
Right.
that John, like Richard and I, once each of us got into the subject, really fell in love with not everything that Eisenhower did or all of his positions or the choices he made, but his sense of caring so deeply about democracy, about other people, about making the world a better place, about feeling his responsibility to the world. And I felt that it really touched something in me and in Richard and in John to want to get that message out to the world. I've said to people over and over again since we've been starting this project, there's a lot of things that I think and feel about the world and a lot that I would like to say and contributions I can make. I don't feel that there's really anything I can do better for the world right now than getting this play on and having people come and see it, because I think that getting this perspective and asking the questions that this play asks people to ask themselves and in how they look at the world is of true service to the world. And I feel like I'm able to combine my love of theater and writers and actors and audiences with something very, very important and timely to say about how we can each affect the world in our own way. And I feel like John very much connected with that, and why he is committed 2 years of his life so far, and however long it's going to ride. I think he's loving doing this part, partially because he loves the writing, but also because he really can feel that it has an effect on the audience, and that he's really giving a great gift to the world through presenting this every night.
This may sound strange, but this is coming from a writer's perspective. I think the evidence of an actor's commitment to a play or a character is the extent to which they confront you as a writer and will not let you settle. It's very easy for any actor to walk in, do the job, and walk out, or say, there's a script, I'll just do it as it is. And throughout this entire process, John has questioned every single thing I've written to the word. Okay. To, am I getting this right? Am I, you're laughing, but it's true. Am I getting this right? I see what you're after, but I don't think it's not clicking yet. And I don't know how much, hello, lovelies. The audience, I'm not sure audiences realize how much they are present in a rehearsal room, in a good rehearsal, because the question is always, will the audience understand this? Will the audience see what you're after? Does this make sense to the audience? And at every step of the way, John was testing his understanding of the character against my writing, against what an audience would take away from it. And that was what was so magical about working on, was that level of commitment, literally to the word, to the phrase. Do we need this? Do we need something more here? That's why you do drafts, okay? And John has been indispensable in not just the creating of the character, but the creating of the text that's there for the character.
Yes, John. One of the things I've said over and over again is that this was maybe the happiest collaboration I've ever had in the rehearsal room. That I felt like, John and I and Richard, or John and me, I should say. No, John and I and Richard all have.
You and John.
The three of us. We all have pretty good-sized egos. We all feel very strongly about things. We have strong opinions, but every one of us was willing to throw out our ideas for the other ones to look at, and let go of those ideas as soon as we realized that there was a better one there. And it's one of my favorite things about Richard as a playwright, is that he's in love with the play and the characters, but he's not in love with his own words, and that he's always happy to change anything to make the play better. And whether that suggestion comes from the director or the actor or the actor's wife or the or the person who is sweeping up afterwards who says, "Hey, this didn't sound right to me. I don't understand that." Richard is willing to take it in and make it so that it gets across what he wants to get across, and let go of the ego. And I think we were all able to let go of our egos during the rehearsal process.
And I would add one more thing before I be quiet for a minute. Again, to John's process, lest it sound like what we're doing is creating a good view of him. One of the things we've tried to do, and the player I certainly tried to do, was allow him to acknowledge his failures, to allow him to acknowledge his mistakes. That's part of his process of dealing with his ranking in history, is what if they're right? What if I did screw up at some points? How do I deal with that? And so from the actor's standpoint, to have an actor saying, I think I need to be more vulnerable here. I think I need to be more uncertain here. I think I need to be reaching a little bit because I don't know what I'm saying. You know, plays can sound very pre-programmed when you write them. I need to be grappling with myself. I need my character to take a journey. And that's a true theatrical actor, someone who's willing to take a journey wherever it leads, and not make it just relentlessly positive and shiny and everything else. John gave us that gift as well, and it's crucial.
It really is. And it's a true blessing when that happens, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, what does an audience come for? We talked about this a great deal, especially coming out of the pandemic. You know, and this is a whole other subject of, you know, the American theater right now, trying to find its feet again after a couple of very, very uncertain years. I was reading a piece the other day by a critic from LA Times that was saying one of the unfortunate things that the pandemic did was break theater going as a habit. People didn't go out, where once upon a time you would buy season tickets to your local theater, or you would go to New York and see a bunch of shows. That habit somehow got broken. And we're trying to put that back together again, to put that theater going habit back together. So what do audiences want as we rebuild the theater? What do we want to not have any more of that we had before? What do we need to do that we haven't done before? And I just firmly believe that what audiences go to the theater for is to see a character that they can relate to, take a journey that they can laugh at, they can have an emotional response to, they can have an intellectual understanding of, and then take that out of the theater for their own lives. And that's kind of what we were trying to do with this, I think, in a lot of ways.
And Peter, you concur?
Yes, Richard says it way better than I can. It's, you know, I've always said when people say, well, what kind of theater do you like? I say, I like good theater. You know, it doesn't matter to me what the style of theater is. I like good theater, and good theater communicates something about being a human being or being a citizen. It makes us, you know, question ourselves, look inside, look at the world, think about things differently. The last thing I ever want to see is theater that preaches to the converted already, that just tells everybody exactly what they already think and says, yeah. And one of the things that I love about this play is that it's questioning. It's a questioning play. It's saying we all want to do better and we need to see how to do that. And I feel like theater is one of the great communication tools in the world. It's just another form of human communication. It's just a really good one for certain types of things because it throws psychic hand grenades into the right side of the brain, or, you know, that because you can get across to people in so many different ways all at once, and that sometimes you can sneak up on them and all of a sudden contextualize things, and all of a sudden when you close the loop on something, it gels all at once, and you can feel a palpable sense of understanding in an audience, and that it's a group shared experience. It's not sitting and staring at a screen. It's sharing an event, you know, as the playwright Romulus used to say, it's breath on breath and blood on blood. You're there with the person for this unique experience right now, and it's a little different every night, and it's different based on what the audience brings and what the actor brings, and there's something that's very communal and almost spiritual or religious about it. And I feel like that our audiences are getting that. It's really I think when Richard and I started out, we thought we were going to write this little play about Eisenhower because nobody'd done one before, and wouldn't that be fun? And everyone would learn a little bit more. And it so exceeded our expectations and what it's brought out. And it sometimes the project finds you, and I think this one found us and hammered away at us for 12 years before we finally got it up.
Was it 12-year process? Really? Wow.
There were a lot of really bad drafts in those 12 years. Let's just say, I killed a lot of forests with some very, very, very bad writing. It's what you see is this, what we got rid of was this, but that's the nature of the thing. It's the nature of collaboration.
Absolutely.
Especially when trying to, capture the essence of somebody's life that was so gigantic. It was really, a huge life with huge experiences in it, and to distill it was just a very, very long process.
Got another quick one here. First loss greatness that we can share, and then we'll come back and chat.
None of us can see the future, that's true. But still, make the right choice. He's alive. Make the wrong one. He's gone. Make the right choice. Soldiers live. Children learn. Maybe poverty and disease and ignorance can start to disappear. Make the wrong one. Well, whatever greatness is, I think it comes and goes, always will. It's what you do for those you're most responsible for, no matter who they are, that means more than anything.
Really is incredible. As far as people having opportunities to see it, are there, in terms of when the actual performances are happening, evenings, matinees? Tell us a little bit about that, when they can actually see it. You want to do that one, Adam?
Want me to jump in?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. We have a matinee on Saturday and a matinee on Sunday, and they've been real hits. And then basically our shows are in the evening. This 7 p.m. We have an 8 p.m. on a Saturday night right now, and we are dark Tuesday and Wednesday. And we made that decision because Monday Broadway doesn't offer a lot, and we're expecting, from a producer standpoint, a really full house tonight. A lot of the other shows are dark, which is closed in the theater world on Monday, and I think that the team has decided well. We didn't want to overwork John. We want to give him 2 days off in a row. So there's a Saturday matinee, a Sunday matinee, and the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at night. I think I said that wrong. But mostly evenings, 2 matinees.
Fridays at 7, Saturdays at 2 and 8, and Sundays at 3. So tonight's performance is at 7, and it's actually being followed by a talkback tonight with Anne Brownell Sloan, who is the daughter of Ike's Attorney General, and she knew Ike growing up, and is also the past president and current board member of the Eisenhower Foundation. So she knows a lot about the subject, and she came to our first reading in New York as well, and was fact checking us.
She was. It's great.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Richard and Pete, but didn't a lot of our footage that tends to spice up the piece come from the Eisenhower Foundation? Because there's some video in the show as well that goes on behind Ike. And didn't we get actual archival footage from the, or am I mistaken?
Well, we certainly took a lot of photographs from the Eisenhower library and museum, and Richard did a lot of research there. So we drew on that a lot. The footage, some of which might have come from them, and some of it is, I think, just public domain footage from earlier things in his life. And then our incredible designing team, Joe Huppert was our projection designer. He's been with us for almost the entire time John has been with us. I think he came on board maybe right after the very first reading. But so he's just done a remarkable job of melding Ike's memories with the landscape that's outside of Ike's window at his Gettysburg farm. And it's been a great support to the show. That we didn't know whether it was going to work when we had the idea for it originally, but the moment we started to see the images, Richard wrote me a note and said, you know what, we don't have to cut nearly as much of this as I thought, because those images are letting us put in a lot more. And it was true. It allowed us to contextualize things, and it also gave the audience a chance to take their eyes off of John a little bit here and there, which let them refocus. Because that's one of the problems with a one-person show is how do you, the audience gets tired just watching one person. So the images that we use have really helped with that, I think.
I just want to make mention, too, for the viewers watching, and we welcome everybody watching us live on the Jim Masters Show Live series, that our guests come from illustrious backgrounds here. Playwright Richard Hellesen is the author of numerous plays and musicals for adults and young audiences. His work has been seen at the Denver Center, South Coast Repertory, Los Angeles Repertory Company, Sacramento Theatre Company, Florida Stage, Gretna Theatre, Sundance Children's Theatre, Imagine Stage, People's Light Theatre, City Theatre in Miami, B Street Theatre, Ford's Theatre in Washington, D.C., where he is an associate artist, and he's received playwriting awards from the National Theatre Conference, the Beverly Hills Theatre Guild, the Philadelphia Festival Theatre for new plays, and Penn USA West. His 24 short plays include 5 finalists for the Actors Theatre of Louisville, Heideman Award, and a member of the Dramatists Guild as well. And that's just the short list. And director Peter Ellenstein is producing artistic director of the new Los Angeles Repertory Company, a multi-award-winning director, producer, new play midwife, educator, whose work has been seen all over the country. And for 13 years, Peter was artistic director of the William Inge Center for Arts in Kansas, where he created many innovative playwright development programs and partnerships with leading national organizations and rural arts and educational partnerships as well. And he served 7 years as producing director of the original Los Angeles Repertory Company, for whom he directed the LA premiere of Assassins, Odette's Rocket to the Moon, and many other acclaimed productions. And Peter served as interim artistic director of both the Gretna Theatre in Pennsylvania and the Jerry Herman Ring Theatre at the University of Miami in Florida. Peter has also been a consultant, board member, panelist, and site visitor for many institutions, including the National Endowment for the Arts, California Arts Council, Association for Theater and Higher Education. And he also has directed a nationally prominent streaming version of Richard Hellesen's Necessary Sacrifices, and he has a decades-long artistic relationship with Richard. He's directed premieres of many of his plays. And you come from a theater family, right? Your father, noted actor, director, Robert Ellenstein, and his brother, longtime artistic director of North Coast Rep and current interim artistic director of the Laguna Playhouse.
Although you can now take interim off of that because he's now the artistic director of both North Coast Rep and the Laguna Playhouse.
Wow, that's fantastic. Congratulations to him, huh? So of all of this work that you gentlemen have done, where does this particular production sort of fit in your own hearts and minds?
Wow, that's a great question. You know what's funny? I every play, it's a cliche to say every play is different, but it's also, I tend to be somebody who goes in without too many expectations. Writing is difficult enough, just getting it done. And then getting a production is such a miracle in so many ways because there are so many moving parts that it's hard for me to look beyond the next one. So all those plays you read, thank you. Apparently I've been busy. Were just all kind of things I did along this journey that I've taken. And I never expected this, certainly. I think when you spend most of your life in regional theater, as I have, the prospect of a New York production is something you think of as, wow, if that ever happened, that would be fabulous. But I have no idea how that's going to happen. And so that's what this has been for me, is my first New York show. It's off Broadway, hooray. And there's all these wonderful people I've gotten to work with. As Peter said, the play has become more than I imagined that it would be. So I don't want to say I'm sort of in shock, maybe a little bit, but it's been, both really gratifying and in some ways just sort of continually surprising that just by continuing to do our work as we do, this amazing thing has happened. And so I'm really grateful for being part of it, certainly, and for the audiences coming to see it. I don't know what I'm going to do next. It makes me want to go, wow, this is really fun. I think I should go write another play, when I'm done. as part of that long journey that we all take as artists. And that's why when John talks, and I think we would stop rehearsal. If John starts to tell a story, we just stop rehearsal. And he would talk about, what it was to work for Fosse and Pippin, or what it was to write, or what it was to know the people that he met through his father, Arthur Rubinstein, legendary pianist. We would just stop and listen, because that's what a life in the arts is. It's a series of events and people and experiences that you just build over time. And so, for me, that's what this play is. I've had a ball doing it. It's something I can tell stories to somebody else. And it's been great to spend time with everybody making it happen.
And how about for you, Peter?
For like Richard, although I directed some benefits in New York and plays, very short plays in the 24-hour plays, I'd never had a show in New York. So that's sort of something I think both of us had thought about. I'm very happy doing shows in Los Angeles and all over the country, but there is something special about having a show in the theater capital of the world, or at least of the United States. And so that's been very exciting. More than that, I feel like working on this piece has been transformative for me as an opportunity to look at. I was always quite the lefty. I don't know that I was extreme left, but I was pretty far left. And it's really opened my eyes to the embrace of everyone who is good-hearted and really wanting the best for others, that there are conversations to be had about the best way of going about that and the practicalities of getting there, and the letting go in a certain way of not of the idealistic ideas, but of the ideologues, and letting go of that it must be a particular way that happens, and that if someone doesn't agree with me, then they're of no value. And I think and they shouldn't be listened to. And I think that it's really opened my mind a lot. As I say to people, I feel like this show actually opens minds and opens hearts, as well as being a really wonderful theatrical experience. And I can't say enough how brilliant a performance John Rubinstein is giving. As a director, when I get to work with my favorite playwright, who's the easiest playwright in the world to work with in terms of collaboration, and I felt that same way in working with John, who brought so much that I don't know that I've ever done less work as a director, but maybe I've done my best work as a director, because I just tried to create an environment where he could do the work he needed to do, and then we would collaborate on little things about how to shape it. So it's been a really life affirming journey for me, especially sticking with it for so long, and now seeing other people. It's like, I think seeing your children succeed is in some ways more gratifying than you succeeding. And I feel like this has been, as John refers to it, it's our wonderful little theatrical baby that is, growing up and going out into the world and proving itself to be big and strong.
And Adam, who's bouncing around the streets of New York City right now, how about for you? You've had your hands in so many different projects and productions, award-winning and more, Adam. Where does this particular play rest for you in your heart and soul?
Well, for me, I think just being in on all the meetings with the team we have established and reaching out to the other producers. I really went to work, looking for investors, reaching to other people to lead produce. The other two producers I'm working with are fantastic. Keith Sherman, our press people, are wonderful. Lisa Dozer of LDK Marketing is fantastic. Victoria Carl with Table 7. So just being in the room and listening to all of this and learning from it, and everybody on the team will, put forward what they know and say what, I'm not sure. What do you think? It's been brilliant. It's been brilliant. And even just being able to spend an hour in the car, but again, with Richard and Peter, for me, is wonderful. And of course, for you, Jim. Next, one of my one-offs is Paula Poundstone. That's a solo journey that I've been able to bring, when she's going to do her comedy, and that's going to be fantastic. But then, the next day is back to Ike, and it's just been really rewarding. And then people have been contacting me with all sorts of offers that I may or may not be interested in. But, it's just been fantastic. This one, people ask me, what do you get from producing this? And I'm like, I get to go to Joe Allen and have drinks with these brilliant people, and it gave me an opportunity. All my college friends are going to be at the show tonight, a whole bunch of them.
Oh, yeah.
And, it's been brilliant. And it's who knows what's coming. I was working with Peter's brother on something that didn't come to fruition, and justly so. But his brother's such a wonderful human being. Put me in, and from working on that, I got to do this. And so I want to tell the Lovities, it has been wonderful spending an hour in the car with you. I started on Long Island, and I was on the LIE, and now I am 3 blocks from the theater in Manhattan.
And I hope you've had the air conditioning on the whole time.
I have the air conditioning on. My good friend Peter, come on. Oh, yeah, he won't go on camera, but I'm going to put him in anyway for a minute.
There he is.
Because we all know his wife's going to watch this whole thing, in an hour when it's on YouTube. And
it isn't easy being green.
Well, Peter's my green screen. So I'm going to Park. We're going to go to the theater. I'm going to see John. I'm going to be there for that talk back. And I'm going to sign off now. So I'm going to leave.
Adam, thank you for
Bye,
staying
Adam.
connected. You're the best. You're a real talent, and
Richard will be in touch.
Thank you.
Yes.
And Tim, I'll find you tomorrow. And
Yes.
My love to the Lovities.
Absolutely. Thank you, Adam. Producer Adam.
Hi, Adam.
Here on.
Well, I'm so glad to hear him give the acknowledgement to the team, because they have been absolutely remarkable, everybody involved. And I say that because I think if you're outside of the business or the industry or whatever, sometimes you may get the perception that everybody inside is hard and tough, and they all seem to be bickering, and they're almost threatening to go on strike with each other, and they're all selfish people or whatever. And we have the most extraordinary, generous people. I think the longer you go in the theater, if you can stay with it for a long time, that's who emerges. That's who really saves your life, are the good people who continue over years to have careers and mesh them with yours. And you get in a room, as Adam says, with those people, and they are so good, and they're so generous and so creative. Just being in a room with good people is probably the best part of the whole experience.
It is. It's wonderful. You feel very alive when you're in there and clicking on all cylinders with other great people. Yeah, I don't remember whether we mentioned that Victoria Morris is one of the producers she's been wonderful, who joined us.
Great.
She was maybe the first, after Adam was the next person who came on board. But our lighting designer, Esquire Josham, who is an old friend, has worked on many shows with me from Los Angeles, who did the lights, and Michael Deegan and Sarah G. Conley, who did the sets and the costumes, and then Joe Huppert, as I mentioned. It's been a pretty amazing experience. And Dennis Trunfio came on, probably the last important person on the team. And I'm glad we mentioned Lisa Dozier, who I had gotten to work with at the University of Miami, and she has LDK Productions. She's a producer and a general management company, and they've been invaluable. Brett Oberman and Keith Sherman, who's done our PR, done an amazing job, and Vic Carroll and Mark Scoff at Table 7. It's really been a fantastic. And the people at the theater, Dan Wackerman, who runs the Peccadillo Theatre Company, has really made it very easy for us to produce there. And theater only happens when a lot of people pitch in, because it's not usually a real commercial enterprise. Nobody goes into theater to make a lot of money, or if they did, somebody gave them some very bad advice.
Right.
There's an awful lot of love and care and creativity, and a sense that you're really living and giving something to the world, and that to me is what the experience has been, just a joyous one almost all the way through.
Even though this is happening now, are you guys already working on other projects as we speak? I don't doubt that, huh? Aside from the laundry going into the spin cycle.
Doubt it. Somebody asked me that the other day when I was back in New York. So what are you working on now? I was like, this is occupying every square inch of my mind right now.
Yeah.
I have a couple of
Your hair was jet black before you started.
That's my joke. That was my joke.
That was the joke.
When I was in the theater, I was 6'8", weighed 280, and I had like bright red hair. And this is what this is actual size. I'm actually 4 inches high now. But you've always got things that are noodling around. And there's a couple things I want to get back to. But it's funny, I never tell Peter until I'm ready. I'll say, what are you working on? And I'll say, I'll let you know when I want you to see it.
Stay tuned.
I don't want to that's what I do. So after the laundry comes out of the dryer, then I'll sit down and see what happens next. But he'll be my first call. So,
and for me, this is I'm still kind of in the thick of it, as this is our first big production of this. So we're looking at what the future is going to be, and we're making plans about that now. There's 4 or 5 plays that I have a strong interest in doing next. 2 of which are Richard's, but I don't know which one of those is going to go. So often, as a director and producer, you're juggling things and you see which one catches fire, and then you move and do that. But this has been a new experience, a real learning experience in moving from, I've been in the nonprofit theater almost my entire life, and then moving into the more commercial side of things. I've had a steep learning curve. And luckily I've had all these great partners who have been in it for a while to shepherd me along, and wonderful advice from other people in the theater who aren't even involved in the production, but are just, they know how hard it is, and if they feel like you have a project of worth, they really want to help. Whether it's introducing you to people, or talking you up, or giving you advice, or just being a sounding board for ideas. And that's one of the other great things about the theater, is there is a lot of generosity. If people feel like you're sincere.
And that's my hot tip for the playwrights, anyone who may be watching, because you all know what a lonely biz it is. Maybe I should say solitary, not lonely, but you have to be by yourself a great deal. And then when you finish this thing you've put your heart and soul into, and you don't know how to get it off your desk into the world, find a director that you trust and likes and understands you and is interested in your work, because they will make things happen. It's impossible. It's so hard to move mountains when you're just the writer. If you find a director, someone that someone you went to school with, somebody that you respond to, they will do so many things to dispel that loneliness and solitariness, and bring you in.
Which is so important. We have one final clip, which is actually a promo that's about 50 seconds for the play itself, with John Rubinstein. Let's take a look at that, and then we'll wrap up with our illustrious guests here. Coming to us from California, our New York contingent is now at the theater, getting things set up. And here is a promo for Eisenhower.
Some days it feels like democracy is going to have a hell of a time persevering. But this piece of ground that we all share, if we're going to leave our young people something better, then we just can't be complacent. It's going to have to be the nation that we're serving, not just ourselves. We have to keep choosing the harder right instead of the easier wrong, and never be content with half-truth when the whole truth can be ours. Maybe it's the optimist in me, but I believe we can.
Happening right now in New York City at Theater at St. Clement's, and you can go to Eisenhower, the play. There you go, right there.com. That'll direct you to the box office and everything you need to get those tickets. They are moving out. The response, as we said in the start of the show, has been really fantastic, huh?
Yeah, the audiences are jumping to their feet at the end and giving him multiple curtain calls, and sometimes applauding in the middle of the play or responding. I think we all feel very, very proud of the work. I've directed a lot of things, and I wasn't always happy with how they turned out. I'm extraordinarily happy with this.
Was there any planning to or forethought to it happening or debuting in late June through July as we're celebrating Independence Day, 4th of July, and sort of in that mindset? Was that at all part of the planning, or did it just happen to happen now?
Well, some of it has to do with when the theaters are available.
Right.
And as I said, Peccadillo, Dan Wackerman and Peccadillo Theatre Company, who managed the theater at St. Clement's Space, had worked with John a number of times, and they said, we've got the space available and we think you have a great show and we want to try and help you do it. So we're going to give you a very good deal to bring it here if you can do it in these time slots when we don't currently have something scheduled, and we'll block the time out for you. So it was really kind of kismet and, again, relationships that got us here at this time. A lot of people told us the summer is very difficult, and it is apparently more difficult to play in New York in the summer. But, it's always difficult. So so many things have to go right for theater to work. And I'm just happy to say that it seems like a lot of those things are going right with this, and that we have a play that is very timely, that people are finding real value in, and also enjoying the experience. So they're enjoying the 2 hours, and then they're thinking about it and talking to their friends and having conversation and buying books on Eisenhower or on different subjects that are brought up during the play, because it talks about so many things. And as you put on they can get tickets at eisenhowertheplay.com. And I'm just grateful for anyone who comes and sees it and enjoys it. And what we found is anyone who has an actual interest in the play is loving the play. A one-person play is not for everybody. And, or a play that's so steeped in history that, if someone is wanting a musical and extravaganza, then that's not the evening for them. But for anyone who has a slight interest in this, they're leaving the theater really gratified.
I'll also tell you, speaking of the timing, we lucked into one accidental nice little bit of serendipity by slotting it when it was. Excuse me. It turned out that load-in of the set was June 6th, which is the anniversary of D-Day. So I had these envisioned landing craft going down West 46th Avenue, loading the stuff in, which obviously didn't happen. But that day we sort of went, wow, this is a nice little touch, a nice anniversary touch.
I want to remind the audience, too, that this one-person play starring the iconic actor, Tony-winning actor, John Rubinstein, his background is really extraordinary as, an on-screen performer, but, of course, a brilliant composer and musician and so much more. He originated the title role in the Broadway musical Pippin, directed by Bob Fosse, which we mentioned, won the Tony and Drama Desk Awards for his performance in Children of a Lesser God. Other Broadway appearances include Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Ragtime, Hurly Burly, M. Butterfly, The Canine Mutiny, Court Martial, Drama Desk nomination for that, Getting Away with Murder, Fools, Love Letters, and the 2013 Pippin revival. And our dear friend Lucy Arnaz was in that. We got a chance to see Lucy hanging from the ceiling. It was really cool. Also, he offered Off-Broadway and Counselor at Law and so much more. Rosencrantz and Guildenstein Are Dead, Urban Blight, Cabaret, Vetabone, Mornings at 7. He's also been on television. You may remember Family with Sada Thompson and James Broderick and Gary Frank, Meredith Baxter Burney, Quentin Cummings, and Christy McNichol. He also wrote the theme to the TV series Family, which was on ABC from 1976 to right around 80, 81. That was an Aaron Spelling production. That was, if you have never seen Family, great television series. And Crazy Like a Fox as well, over 300 episodes there. Films include Being the Ricardos, Hello, I Must Be Going, 21 Grams, Red Dragon, The Boys from Brazil, Someone to Watch Over Me, Getting Straight, so much more. And that's just the short list. You know, he's also recorded over 200 audiobooks as well. Played keyboards in a rock band. He even hosted 2 classical musical radio programs as well. And he composes film and television music continually. So good stuff. We've got a lot of iconic people involved in this play. Gentlemen, this really was an honor and a pleasure for you to take time. As we mentioned, we don't always rush along unless there's a guest that has, 12 minutes to get it in there. But we do it sort of conversational, like Dick Cavett and Carson and Merv and Regis, but with a modern twist, modern vibe, bringing back that lost art of conversation. And the viewers or our lovities have been saying all kinds of wonderful things here, and they rate this conversation 4-star, but they're also looking forward to seeing the project, not only in New York, but they hope that it goes across the country. So that's nice, huh?
From their mouths to Ike's ears.
From the lovities, the Jim Master Show lovities, to their Ike's ears. Gentlemen, truly, thanks for stopping by the show. Hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I absolutely have with you. We also thank, of course, our friend Adam Weinstock, producer extraordinaire. I mean, real dedication, driving while he was a guest on a show, driving right to the theater. And he's a joy as well. And spread the word about our show. You know, other folks you think would like to pop on and experience it. They're all welcome, and continued success with this particular production with Eisenhower and with everything going forward. And we hope to welcome you back to the show. The door is open and the porch line is always on, as we say.
Thank you, Jim. It's been fantastic. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim. We appreciate the time to chat with you.
Well, as my father has always said, and the sage advice he gave, even when I was as young as 8 years old, he always has said to us, Jim, whenever anybody says something kind or nice to you, ask them to please put it in writing and address it management. And that has stuck to this day.
Absolutely.
Peter and Richard, you're the best. Continued success. Congratulations on all, and we'll see you again soon, okay?
Thank
you
you
very much.
Everybody.
All right, you take care. Take care now. Wow, that was a great conversation, gang. I hope you enjoyed it here on the Jim Masters Show Live, Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show series. We always dig deep. We take you behind the scenes as well with guests that come in from Broadway and Hollywood and television and film, music, stage, culinary arts, sports, comedy, and everything in between. And a real pleasure to have, the folks that are so deeply involved in creating this epic production, and again starring John Rubinstein, Tony-winning actor extraordinaire. Really a joy having our special guests on this episode of JMS, renowned playwright Richard Hellesen, and producing artistic director Peter Ellenstein, as well as producer Adam Weinstock. Adam was in the car, and Richard was at his home in Sacramento, California, and Peter was at his home in North Hollywood, California as well. And we are here at Lovity Hall. And again, if you want to see where you can get the tickets, we'll show you that one more time. It is EisenhowerThePlay.com. That'll lead you directly to the box office site, theater at St. Clement's in New York City. So, gang, we hope you enjoyed this episode of the Jim Masters Show Live series. This is your host, Jim Masters. For those who are sticking with us throughout the day, we just want to let you know that iconic comedian Paula Poundstone is going to be stopping by the Jim Masters Show Live exclusively at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, here on the Jim Masters Show series. Now, if you are watching this episode 6 months from now, that will be old news. That's old news, but you can see the episode, of course, archived on our YouTube channel, but she will be live here on the show. So again, we thank our very special guests, Richard and Peter joining us, and Adam. Go check out the show, folks. Eisenhower, This Piece of Ground. It has been met with rave reviews, and it's a little bit of Americana and history right there before your eyes with John Rubinstein. We're going to be heading out to see the show ourselves in New York, in the heart of Manhattan. So maybe we will see you there. Thanks for joining us, gang. This is Jim Masters, your host. Thanking you for your time this time. Till next time. Thanks for all the great comments. You guys have been really fantastic commenting throughout the show, and we absolutely love that. Again, we literally just returned from a really, really nice vacation, a long overdue vacation with family and friends, visiting Portland, Maine in New England, and also Newport, Rhode Island. And it was very, very nice. We shared some of that on social media. You can find me on social media at Jim Masters TV on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Come like, follow, all the rest. And we appreciate that. We're very interactive as well. Thank you to Kathleen and to David and Sherry and everybody watching, and Jane as well. And all the comments that have been coming in live. And we appreciate everybody who's going to be commenting later on as well in the archives. The show, we do archive all the episodes on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. All right, we're going to reposition, have something to eat, and get ready for our second show here, which is going to be with Paula Poundstone coming up in not too long from now. So for all of us, thanks for being with us. We appreciate you. If you enjoyed this episode, do give it a hearty thumbs up. We always say that. There is a thumbs up icon on our YouTube channel, which we hope you will click. Kind of looks like this. It's a thumbs up. Give it a nice hearty click, and also leave a comment for us on our YouTube channel, which is Jim Masters TV. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. We really appreciate those who have done that. And we thank you for being with us. We'll see you on the next episode. For all of us here, don't say goodbye, and we don't say goodbye as well. We say see you later. Ciao, cheers, slancha, shalom, avida zain, sayonara, hasta la vista, cheerio, take care, be well, and we'll see you on our next episode of the Jim Masters Show. Take care, be well. Cheers.